All right, we're back here at Song of the Day. Everyone knows what today is, and well, based on my outfit, it must be Octane Friday. This is something that I made, I don't know, it's 20 years ago. I tracked down a jean jacket that someone gave to me and for the purpose of making a Halloween costume. And I'm realizing that for Octane Friday, it might have to be like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, where I walk in and have this jacket on and then I take it off for Song of the Day. We got the back here too, which is appropriate. Anyway, I thought of this jacket because of today's Song of the Day. So, what's going on today? First of all, some news in the rock world. Yesterday, Brian Howe, the lead singer of Bad Company, died at age 66, I think. If you don't recognize that name, that's because he was the lead singer of their last 4 or 5 albums. So it's not the Bad Company that you think of when you think of all those songs growing up. However, they put out some great records. The favorite one of mine being Stranger Than Fiction. That album's great. But if you remember No Smoke Without a Fire, that kind of stuff, that's what they did. Anyway, but that's not my song of the day because today is Alex Van Halen's birthday. He's 67. So that's what made me think of this jacket. Van Halen, obviously a great choice for Octane Friday. I always thought when I was going to do something that I would just do a huge segment on Van Halen, but then yesterday when I did 11 minutes on Bob Seger, I realized that just must mean I could probably talk about Van Halen for 30 minutes, and I don't think I'm going to have you stick with me for 30 minutes. So we're going to have to chunk this out because Van Halen, huge Van Halen fan, tons of stuff to work with there, huge catalog, changes of singer, solo career of David Lee Roth. There's just a lot to chunk out there. So we're not going to do it all in one session. You're welcome. We're going to just kind of break it down, and we'll do several songs of the day about Van Halen. So stick with me on that one. So we're going to stick solely with their first record for today. For those of you who remember, they're from Pasadena, California, but the Van Halens were not born in the United States. They're naturalized citizens from Amsterdam. They started off as kids. Eddie was the drum player and Alex was the guitar player, and then they realized that the talents were elsewhere, so they switched. When they were kids, they named one of their first bands Genesis, and then they figured out there was another band named Genesis, so they named it Mammoth, and then they realized there was a band called that. So they must have just been like, well, there aren't too many of us named this, so let's try that. Famously, this self-titled debut album was hailed as basically the return of rock and hard rock to the mainstream. I remember listening to this in, it was probably 8th or 9th grade, right around there, and it was the heaviest stuff that I'd ever heard. I mean, I was, like I said before, I wasn't listening to anything heavier than that. So this was a big deal. Not to mention, the only person I knew with a Van Halen t-shirt was an older guy in high school that spent a lot of time in the Smokers Lounge. So that just added to the lore of Van Halen. Plus, that album cover spoke to that, and the name of the song, Runnin' with the Devil. I mean, come on, this is serious heavy music. When you get down to it, though, you look at the record itself, and it's not all heavy. I mean, the first side is heavy. You got Runnin' with the Devil, Eruption, You Really Got Me, a Kink song, Ain't Talking About Love, and I'm the One. Solid. But there's some songs on there that will kind of remind you and show you that they weren't as heavy as most people thought they were consistently throughout their career. And David Lee Roth really was more of a Vegas showman than anything else. He's not considered this really heavy rock guy, right? I mean, he's kind of quirky and kind of silly. And you could see that with, Feel Your Love Tonight, Little Dreamer, and Ice Cream Man. I mean, those are not heavy rock songs, right? Great songs, and great album. but it's just funny because it was not like it was a heavy rock album through and through. The other thing is that when all their when all their records went to CD, and I was buying them, I realized that most of their records clocked in at about 30 minutes, 32 to 35 minutes, which is pretty short, but I guess that's really what it was like in the 70s because people were turning out albums like every year. So that first album, seminal album, great album. As far as Song of the Day is concerned, I really got to go with Running with the Devil because that's the one that started it all for me for Van Halen. We used to go to the pool at Dartmouth College and use the student pool there to go swimming, and they had that on heavy rotation. I just have memories of that song and Heart's Magic Man playing on some kind of loop all the time. But that's just like the definition of what was being called really heavy rock. We're going to talk more about Van Halen. I know you're excited, but that's it for today. We're going with Running with the Devil, turn it up to 11. You know the drill. It's Octane Friday. Everyone have a great weekend. Of course, I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll see you on the flip side.